Hey guys, Greg here. I spent this week exploring Utah. The week starts in Kanab, just over the border from Arizona. My goal in Utah was to take this loop, seeing all 5 national parks in Utah along the way. Which I did, kinda. The government was still shut down, although as I'm filming this, it's been reopened, so that's pretty sweet. But while I was in Utah, the parks were still kind of in that half open, half closed, partially shut down mode. So the first one was Zion, which was open. But the day that I went there, there was what people from the American Southwest call a snowstorm, which basically means it was snowing. Anyway, the way into the park is this road that goes through a series of switchbacks down a canyon. And the snow made for a really fun drive, but also a really not scenic drive because I couldn't see anything. All I could really see was the road and whiteness, and a couple of idiots trying to use summer tires and two-wheel drive.
I don't think you're gonna make it up the hill. You might want to call someone.
Next up, Bryce Canyon. Again, lots of snow. It wasn't actually snowing, but there was more snow on the ground than in Zion. Most of the road was closed, I suppose because there's no funds to plow it. But the first overlook area was open, so I checked that out, and I actually did a hike there. Pretty deep snow, but there were some footprints for me to follow, so that was nice. Bryce Canyon is amazing. Such a unique area, just beautiful. Next up, Capitol Reef. The main road was closed, but Highway 24 technically goes right through the park, and in fact, the hike that I wanted to do was right off the highway. Really cool area. Natural bridge, old petroglyphs, tiny bit of wildlife. Next up, arches. As you can probably decipher from the name, this park is full of arches. The most famous, perhaps, is called the Delicate Arch, so I hiked up to it. I did quite a bit of hiking in this park, actually. Got lost once and ended up doing some off-trail stuff. When I was arriving at Arches, I was afraid that the road was going to be closed, like in Capitol Reef, so I decided to try and get in using a back road, maybe bypass the closure, but there was no closure. In fact, during the shutdown, I went to a lot of national parks, and Arches was the park that probably felt the most open. And probably my favorite of the 5 national parks in Utah. Next up, Canyonlands. It was open. I didn't have any hikes planned there, but I did drive the whole road. It kind of feels like a smaller version of the Grand Canyon, but more open and more red rock. Another awesome Utah spot. Done with the 5 parks, I made my way to Mexican Hat to set up camp for a couple days. Beautiful spot. I'm assuming it's called Mexican Hat because of this hat up here. At the top of the Mexican Hat. Or, I guess, at the actual hat. Last thing to do in Utah was check out Monument Valley, a famous area owned by a native tribe. It was 20 bucks to get in. They have a loop road that you can take with a bunch of viewpoints. My problem with it is that it looks a lot like the rest of Utah, big rocks, etc. If you actually go exploring on dirt roads in Utah, you can find a lot of the same looking kind of stuff. I suppose it's the history of the area that entices people as well. To me, just not worth 20 bucks. And finally, I went to the Four Corners Monument so I could stand in 4 states at once. Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. Right here. In summary, Utah is definitely one of my favorite states so far. I did not expect to love it so much. The roads were beautiful, the parks were beautiful. It's so unique. It looks like someone just chiseled the rocks to these perfect forms. And what you get is just a really cool looking landscape. Near sunrise and sunset, you get these incredibly distinct shadows. Utah is not a new state for me. I've driven through it a number of times, but I've never really explored it. The loop that I did, which basically covers all of southern Utah, I would recommend to anyone planning a road trip. Truly amazing. So, after standing in all 4 states, I realized Colorado is the last of the 4 that I have to explore. So, I made my way to Cortez in southwest Colorado, and that's where this week ends. Thanks again for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you same time, different place next week.